Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of our new 4-year look back series. This is every Saturday for the last 6+ years. I've done a video where I've looked back at the hot comics from 6 months ago to see should you have been patient, should you have bought in, what factors were affecting those books. Throughout this entire time period, I've gotten do other time links, which I didn't really have time for. But we have started now doing a 4-year look back. Why 4 years? Because that's when I have really good records. That's as long as I can really go back and have good records. So we're looking back at the hot comics from 4 years ago, from July of 2021. There's 5 different weeks of lists. I go through the CBSI Hot Top 10 and the Comic Tom Key Collector House Trending Comics of the Week from that July of 2021 when I have good records. And I pick out 15, so far it's been 15, I don't know if it's always going to be 15 books that I think are most interesting, not knowing how they're doing right now generally. I don't look them up before I make the decision whether or not I'm going to include them or not. I just look at them and go, hey, that was something I remember us talking about, people being interested in. What's it doing now? And so, yeah, so it's not a complete list, but I feel like I cover every category. And so, yeah, so we're doing this for all the hot books from July of 2021. A reminder as we dig into this, we were still in the comic boom in July of 2021, so that definitely plays a role in the results you're going to see. But if you look at each of these books individually, for the most part, that may not be that's generally not the biggest factor that has affected these books. So with that, let's dig in and see what we can learn about these books from 4 years ago that we were chasing. First up, we got Chariot #1 from AWA. This is a book that got optioned by Warner Brothers. People were super interested in this particular thing. $20 to $30, which is a very typical kind of initial bump to an option news book. By January of 22, it was a $5 to $15 book, $50 to $80 for 9.8. So it already kind of stepped back as being like, something maybe people would be interested in. Now it's a $5 to $12 book, 9.8, 25. That's down in a trap. So both times, it didn't really go high enough to really put it as a dumpster fire, even though those 9.8 values are literally as low as they can be. But yeah, that is Chariot #1. Next, we got Tokyo Ghost. This was an option book that the script was supposedly finished on 4 years ago. We still haven't seen it. Raw copies 25, 9.8, 185. If we did see it, I totally missed it. So I will say 9.8, 185 back then. Now 10 to 30. So raw copies are still, 6 months later in January, it was 10 to 30, 9.8, 120. So it was down. It was steady really on the raw sales, down a little bit on 9.8. But yeah, still doing pretty well. Now it's a $5 to $10 book, 9.8. That's not 625. Let's just say 40 to 60. I clearly looked at the wrong line when I was typing that in, but still down in a dumpster fire from 4 years ago. Still hasn't become anything. So scripts, option, take a long time if they happen at all. Next, we have Power Rangers Unlimited, Edge of Darkness #1, the 1 in 50 Derek Chu variant. This book was going for $190 for this 1 in 50, hard to find. But 6 months later, it was 60 to 75, and now I could find no sales. Listings start at $12. That's the definition of a dumpster fire. $200 book that you can't sell for $15. Not good. Not good. I'd put it as an I'll be back for 6 months later. It didn't even live up to that. Usually at 1 in 50, they got that high, did better than this. That's not the case here. Next, we got X-Men #1, the J. Scott Campbell Rogue variant, limited to 2,500 pieces. It is a store exclusive. I think was also a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. 165 right out the gate. 6 months later, it was still 100 to 175. So it was an I'll be back, but it was doing really well. 9.8 for $3 to $450. 4 years later, it is a $100 to $120 book. Definitely down, but still doing really well for a store variant of this type. 275 to 350 for 9.8. So this one's still going for big money. Still a lot of interest in this particular negative space variant by Mr. Campbell. Next, we have Stray Dogs number 5, the Ryan Kincaid Shining variant. We talked about Stray Dogs number 1 last month because it was right at the height of the Stray Dogs love. $100 for this variant. Now, by 6 months later, it was 30 to 50, so it was already a trap. 9.8s were $100, and now raw sales recently were 10. No reason to 9.8 sales. Yeah, dumpster fire on this one as well. Everything Stray Dogs has become dumpster fire. Just really did not. Once the series ended, the interest just went away. It just did. Next, we have Nice House on the Lake. This is Comic Buzz. No cover associated with this. This is just straight Comic Buzz for the number 1 issue. 30 to 35. People were loving this series. They were getting into it. They were willing to pay some money for it. 6 months later, it was a $15 to $20 book. $80 to $100 on a 9.8. Now it's a $1 to $10 book, $20 to $50 on 9.8. Another dumpster fire. Another series that didn't have any legs beyond that, which is not unusual for indie comics that get a lot of buzz. It takes a lot for them to continue and maintain buzz, and it's really almost impossible for a miniseries that ends that doesn't then like have a show or something that comes out. Like once it ends, it's just hard. Next, we have White number 1. This book was kind of a follow-up to a very popular Black number by Black Mass Comics. So when this came out, it had a lot of buzz. The cover A, which you see here, was limited to 2,500 copies. So you could only get 2,500 copies of the cover A, $75 to $100 back then. Now, by 6 months, it was 20 to 35, so it was already a trap. 9.8s were still over 100, though, almost 200. Now, only one recent sale, $1. No, like $1 plus shipping. There's been no other interest in this book. It is not moving. People are not chasing it. So down in a dumpster fire again. So far, we got a whole bunch of dumpster fires and one trap. Let's see if that changes as we move into the second half of the second half of this list. Next, we have Future State Teen Titans number 2. Everybody was like, Red X is going to be the next big thing of the Future State stuff. It was last month we talked about the Yara Flor, Future State Wonder Woman. This was the other character that people were banking on from Future State. $15 for this cover B, $15, 9.8, 80. By 6 months, it was a $1 to $15, 9.8, 30 to 60. Now it's a $3 to $10, 9.8, 25 to 50. So we put this as down, and then I'll be back. You could argue down and borderline trap, but it really wasn't high enough to really become more than really an I'll be back at this point. There was a whole long mystery of who is Red X. I think they did finally give it to us, but yeah, there's no sustainability with this particular character. Next, we have Star Wars High Republic Adventures number 6. First appearance of Leox and Affy. These were characters that had already appeared in the books. So they had some interest here. $15 to $20 back then. People were still high on High Republic then. That is no longer the case. 5 to 20 within 6 months. So still not doing too bad. Kind of steady. I'll be back. 60 to 80, 9.8 back then. Now it's a $2 to $10 book. 9.8, 35. So we're going to call this another one a trap. Just not a lot of, as we moved out of, I think phase 1 of High Republic got a lot of love. Phase 2 was weird because it was all different characters and it was set earlier. And then phase 3 was not able to recapture whatever phase 1 had. So next we have Dark Reign, Young Avengers, number 1. This is the first appearance of the second Enchantress, Sylvie Luston. Obviously, in this case, comic book character is the daughter of Loki, but in the Loki series that was coming out, Sylvie was obviously an alternate version of Loki. Anyway, this back then caused this book to jump all the way to $100, a 9.8, 530. Within 6 months, it was a $20 to $40 book, 9.8, 350. Only one sale back then. So it already had become a trap even 6 months after the show came and went. We've gotten her since in season 2. Did it bounce back at all? No. $2 to $10 now. No recent 9.8 sales. Down in a dumpster fire. No reason to have chased this book at all. Next, a little earlier, we actually talked about this last month. We're going to talk about it again because it was on the list like 3 times during that period. We thought we were going to get Kang during Loki. 5.5s were up to $1,700. A 7.0 hit 4,000. 6 months later, 5.5 was 15 to 1800, so still basically right in the same value range. I didn't have a 7.0 to include there, but $250 to $1,000 for raw copies. Now it's $100 to $350 on recent raw sales. That could just be a function of the condition of the raws that are selling, but a 5.5 is a $470 to $580 book. A 7.0 was a $500 sale, so a $700 sale. Whew. The MCU deciding to go away from Kang with Jonathan Major's troubles and everything else have absolutely tanked this book. Silver Age key or not, this book is tanked since all of this went down and he became no longer part of the MCU or no longer a focus of it. If this is a book, if you're an early Avengers collector, if this is a book that you're interested in, now might actually be the time. I feel like at some point it's going to bounce back a little bit. But yeah, there's probably not been a better time to go after the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. Next, we have Inhumans number 5, first appearance of Yelena Belova. Black Widow had just come out. She was kind of the breakout character in the movie. Best part of that movie, probably. Raw copies 120, 9.8, 800. Since then, we've gotten her in the Hawkeye series. We've gotten her most recently in Thunderbolts. So she's been used several times since. But January of 22 was $100 to $200, 9.8. So raw copies are actually doing a little bit better. 9.8 though were 50 to 650. So yeah, we still kind of considered it an I'll be back based on those 9.8, but it was really doing pretty well. Now it's a $15 to $55 or $65 book. 9.8, one sale, 80. You're down in a dumpster fire. Even with Thunderbolts just coming out a couple months ago, this book is in the tank. So yeah, if you like Yelena, much better time to go get her first appearance than previous, back when she was first introduced to the MCU. Next, all new Marvel Now, not Marvel Now. I try to look these all over typos, and I'm not very good at it, apparently. Point 1, first appearance of Kamala Khan. This was lead up to her show was coming later that year. Raw copies, $350, 9.8, $1,600 to $2,000. By January, after the show had come and gone, $150 to $350, 9.8, $1,500 to $1,800. So still doing really, really well. It's still kind of a down and I'll be back, but still doing great. People actually enjoyed the show quite a bit. It got some of the better reviews from this era. Now it's a $30 to $100 book raw, 1 to 175 on recent 9.8 sales. Ouch. If you invested in Kamala, I'm sorry. Yeah. Now might be a time to invest in Kamala. But yeah, it's down in a dumpster fire. Man, like a lot of these characters got introduced during this most recent phase. And really, even if you go back before then, a lot of the characters, particularly that were not, whether they were focused or not, if it wasn't already like a big key, just haven't held. They just haven't done it. Next, Moon Knight number 1. That show was on the horizon. $100 back then for raw copies, 9.8, 700 to 1,000. 6 months later, I think we were still waiting for that. We were about to get the show at that point. It was 40 to 150, 9.8, 900 to 1,200. So it's up and worth it. We were actually getting closer to the show at that point. I think it came out not long after that, January of 2022. Now it's a $5 to $50 book, 9.8, 175 to 425. Another dumpster fire. Another character. In this case, we only got the character for the show and haven't gotten them since. There's been talk that Oscar Isaac is not going to come back. Yeah. Ouch. Ooh, this was a rough period to be investing in Marvel stuff, in terms of Marvel show stuff. And then last, we got Exiles number 3, first appearance of Peggy Carter as Captain America. This was from the What If show. Raws were going for $50. 6 months later, the What If show had come and gone, and it was 25 to 75, 9.8 3 to 400. People were all about it. Plus, we knew we were Multiverse of Madness. We got hints that she might appear in Multiverse of Madness, was part of the reason that book was doing pretty well then. Now it's a $10 to $50 book, 9.8, 150. down in a trap, not the dumpster fire. But yeah, Captain Carter, Peggy Carter, Captain America, doesn't really matter now for a while. So that is our 15 books from July of 2021. Let's do a quick shout out to my members before I forget them, because they help keep this channel going. I really appreciate it. They get early access to this video. They get access to my giveaways. So being a member helps me keep this going, helps me pay for StreamYard. And yeah, so I appreciate all those folks. But that is our list from July of 2021. Every single book is down now compared to what it was then. Most of which are dumpster fires. There are a few I'll be back, a couple of I'll be backs in there, but really, yes, the overall market trend is down, but also some of these books, just the individual circumstances around the book have caused them to drop significantly. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.